Hello people of the interwebs, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a book review. So this is the book called Afterland by Lauren Beerkus. And for those of you who don't know, Lauren Beerkus is a South African author. And this is the first book of hers that I have read, but I've heard a lot of good things. I think she has a book called The Shining Girls that is just absolutely raved about. And she has some short stories that people also really enjoy. So I was very excited to read this book. It was on sale on Take a Lot and I bought it. And I actually buddy read this with my sister. She also bought it. We didn't actually talk about buying it, but we both bought it around about the same time, so we buddy read it. And I have a lot of thoughts. So this was a very hyped book here in South Africa. I think I received multiple emails from different bookstores sort of advertising and talking about the book. So a lot of hype, and of course Lauren Beerkus, who is a very highly acclaimed author, so more hype. And I think I was left a bit disappointed. So I'm going to start off with a spoiler-free review, and then I'm going to go into some spoilers for those who are interested. So the premise I found was very relatable. So it is about basically a mother and son who are in America, and they're South African, but they ended up in America, which I think is quite clever because that appeals to a bigger market. Like at no point in this book are they ever in South Africa, but the characters are South African, which I thought was very clever and gave it a nice South African spin while still appealing to the broader market. So the premise is there has been a virus that has affected men, and most of the men on the planet have died of this virus. But so the main character, Cole, her son, Miles, survived the virus. And they ended up in America when this sort of pandemic happened, and they got stuck there. They couldn't come back home to South Africa. And the book takes place, it's basically them trying to get home. And Cole's sister is also involved. Her name is Billy, and she's kind of the bad guy of the book, and Billy and her associates. I think the thing that irritated me the most about this book was that I felt like I was always waiting for the story to pick up, and it never really did. I've written here in my notes, it picked up around page 325 of 389. That is 84% into this book is when I finally felt like the story was picking up. So for me, this sort of very slow, very plodding along type story, that's not for me. I prefer something with a much faster pace. So I don't know, if you're similar to me, you probably will feel the same way as I do. Something I really enjoyed though was the voices in the book. So the book is told from three perspectives. So Cole, Miles, and Billy. And they each have a very unique voice. So I really enjoyed that. Now to go into a few spoilers. So if you want to read the book and you don't want any spoilers, stop watching. Stop watching right now. Going back to the voices, I found, so Miles is 12 years old for the majority of this book. There are some sections that go back in the past to kind of tell you what happened to get them in the situation that they're in. But I really found Miles a bit whiny. And yes, I suppose 12-year-old boys who are on the run with their mother might be a bit whiny, but he didn't really understand the bigger picture of trying to get home or what they were trying to do. He always wanted to stay somewhere or do something that would prevent them from going home. And that felt really irritating. I would expect a 12-year-old person in a dire situation where there are no more men and he is being hunted, I would expect him to understand the importance of what his mother was trying to do. So that didn't sit very well with me. To go on to more of the plot. So Cole and her sister Billy are South African, and Cole married an American man who lived with her in South Africa, and his name was Devon, and they had a son. And obviously Devon's family was still living in the States. So how the family ended up stuck in the States was some of the men in Devon's family, I think it was his nephew Jay, had this virus and was very, very ill in hospital, and they didn't think Jay was going to make it. And I mean, hardly any of the men made it, as is known in the blurb and everything. Miles is one of the only males left in the world. So the family went over to the States to be with Devon's sister and her family, because Jay was dying. And in the course of Cole, Miles, and Devon being in America, this virus really takes hold. Devon gets sick, a whole lot of other men get sick. They can't fly home because Devon is so ill, and he ends up dying in America. And by this point, the doctors have realized that all the men are dying from this virus, and the women are kind of getting mildly sick and then getting over it. So Miles, this 12-year-old boy, ends up being one of the only male survivors of this virus. So what happens in the States, at least, because that is where this whole book takes place, is that there are facilities that are basically locking up all the males they can find for their protection. But it's basically like a luxury prison. They are not allowed out. There are like family visitations, I think twice a day. So Cole is allowed to go visit Miles at this place twice a day. And she's not happy. She wants to get her boy home, and she wants him to have a normal childhood. Now, at no point in the book does it say what the situation is like in South Africa or in any other country. So we don't actually know if going home is safer, but Cole seems to believe this. So Cole has a friend in South Africa who she contacts via email. She sets up a new email account because she's convinced that her regular email is being tracked, and she's right. And she emails her friend saying, "We need help. Can you help us get out?" And the friend sets up, she has a lot of contacts or something, and the friend sets up that if Cole and Miles can get to Miami, there will be a boat waiting for them. So Cole and her sister Billy bust Miles out of this luxury prison, but Cole realizes that Billy is not doing this for the right reasons. Billy actually wants to sell off Miles's sperm so that people can have babies, and it's been worldwide declared that procreation is not allowed until they can figure out more about this virus and why the men are dying. So it's a highly illegal trade. And Cole realizes that Billy's not in this for the right reasons, and Cole hits her on the head. I think it's with a baseball bat or something. And everyone thinks she's dead. And Cole obviously feels terrible because she thinks she's killed her sister. But it turns out Billy is alive with a terrible wound at the back of her head. And basically the story goes on. So Cole and Miles don't know that Billy is still alive. And they get out of the luxury prison, and they go, through town to town. They change vehicles, and they get to this really nice little kind of a commune where there are some really lovely people living. And this whole time, Miles is going by the name of Mila and dressing like a girl, and Cole contemplates like putting some mascara on him to make him look a little bit more girly. Because if anyone knew that he was a boy, they would report it to the police, and he would be taken back into custody. And Cole just wants to get him home, so obviously she's going to pretend that he's a boy, that he's a girl. She's going to pretend that he is a girl. And they kind of, the story plods along, and they get to this little town. There are some very helpful people, and this one person says, "I can tell you when to get out. Take my car, go." And they go. And you think, okay, they're going to go somewhere else, and someone else is going to help them, and they're going to get to a port city or whatever so they can get back to South Africa. because they can't take an airplane, they can't use their real passports because everyone will know that Miles is a boy and not Mila the girl. And it kind of just, it's such a plodding story. You feel like you're waiting for something to happen and it just never does. And then the most bizarre thing happens. So the whole time Billy is chasing after Cole and Miles, trying to figure out where they are, and she has these like really dodgy associates who want Miles for his sperm. But Cole doesn't know this. She thinks that Billy is dead. And Cole and Miles end up at this casino, and there are these like really weird nuns who wear these bright orange, I don't want to call it a habit, they call it an apologia, and it's got like a piece that goes over their mouth so they can't speak. And these nuns sort of, they support a Christianity where everything is based on apologizing and being sorry, and it is really bizarre. But basically Cole has a breakdown and the nuns take her in, and then, you know, they're with the nuns for a little bit, and then Cole figures out that the nuns are on a mission, and they're driving sort of through the country to get to Miami, where they have like this big spiritual conference thing. So Cole decides, okay, we're going to join up with the nuns. I'm going to pretend to want to be a nun. And we're going to go with them on their bus. We'll be food, we'll be fed, we'll be watered, we'll be safe until we get to Miami, and then we can ditch them. And this is where I really felt the story fell flat. They spent so much time with these nuns that it just became so boring. My gripe with this book is that the whole middle section ended up being very boring and lethargic and too much of the same. There wasn't a lot of character development. There weren't a lot of changes in pace or I mean, the environment was changing, but it was always with the same people and always the same things happening, like move to a new place, settle in, you're there for a few days, move to a new place, you're back on the bus. So yeah, it felt very, very static. And then, as I said, last sort of 50-60 pages it picked up, and that was a lot more exciting. I probably read the last 60 pages in one sitting, but the rest of the book I couldn't read more than 1 or 2 chapters before I was entirely bored of it. If you're the kind of person who likes a slower burn book, then by all means give it a read. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this book. Please like and subscribe, and if you would like to see more book reviews in the future, then please let me know. Bye.